Hey guys, welcome to the Daily Hologram. It's your host Josiah Emmanuel Selena. So, what are we going to be talking about today? Well, first of all, I'd like to welcome you to the channel. Um, Obviously, it's called Daily Hologram because I'm using a hologram cheap video effect on Apple MacBook to film this. But anyhow, um, this is not going to be really a specified channel. I think I'm going to be talking about various topics on whatever interests me, so feel free to come along for the ride. Um, if you need to rewatch these holograms at some point in the future, feel free to do so. Just joking. Um, but yeah, I don't think I want to become like Iron Man and Avengers Endgame. Spoiler alert. But anyway, I'm privileged to be here, and I'm just going to be talking about things that I love to talk about. Could be music, could be movies, could be superheroes, could be what's going on in the world today. Um, it could be biblical and anything, basically. So let's dive into it, shall we? So today, I'm going to be trying my first video for the channel, a music album review. Now, I could do a slew of these in a row. I could change the topic up every time. Um, you might see maybe a bunch of album reviews followed by a bunch of movie reviews, or you may see a bunch of commentary, or you may see a different video each time. You never know. It all depends on what I feel the best or somewhat qualified to talk about at the time. So, anyway, let's get into it. So, the reason why I'm making this video is I'm going to be doing a classic album review of. I'm going to try to retrack this from memory. So I'm going to be doing Regeneration by Superchick. It's a remix album that came out in 2003. And basically, it was a time when Superchick was trying to, no pun intended, regenerate their sound and reinvent their sound for a more like industrial edge. Just to give you a little background, Superchick, they are a female-fronted um, uh, Christian band, and basically, um, they have had their music featured in like over 100 video games and movies. Um, of course, it's most more than likely Wikipedia copied information, but they've been featured like in movies like Cadet Kelly, Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen. Um, they're that kind of band that solidified a need in the market for, I think, the peak of feminism when feminism was actually getting their message right and not trying to push men out of the equation, but actually empowering women without having to, you know, bash on men. And Superchick was one of my favorite rock bands of all time, no, like hands down. I do have a long list of favorite rock bands. Superchick is definitely in the tops. Um, they formed a lot of my childhood and teenage years, and I love to talk about them. But let's get into the Regeneration album review. So this came at like a peak of their success type of situation when it went career wise. Um, a remix album that came kind of early in their career as well. They only had two original albums prior to this, Karaoke Superstars and Last One Picked. So therefore, all the remixes were coming from songs picked from those two records, plus a new song. The album consists of 9 tracks, one new song, 8 remixes. So let's try to go through them in order. So the album opens up with One Girl Revolution Battle Mix. One Girl Revolution already has two versions on the Karaoke Superstars album. This version, in my book, is the best version, hands down. When it starts off with that crazy, spacey, synth-like vibe on the keys, and then it builds up into a very what's the right word? Is it raunchous or ruckus type of chorus? But it is the most energetic version of One Girl Revolution, which is their most popular song, the original version. And when it gets to the bridge part, it really does this like dip down into the guitars, swelling up into a crescendo again, and it's a really funky vibe between spacey sounding synths and really crunchy guitars, and yet all under the pop umbrella so nicely. So I really love that version of One Girl Revolution. Get Up Hillside Mix, track number 2 on the album. Get Up Hillside Mix, it starts off very similar to the original, except a little more acoustic based. Even though the original had an acoustic touch to it, it was like layered with some DJ scratches, which are featured in the remix as well. A little more well done, in my opinion. But this version, it comes off across like it's going to be like an acoustic version of the original, and then it just punches you in the face by the time it gets to the chorus with, again, much crunchier guitars, which seems to be the theme of how they produce the guitars for this record. And it keeps that energy going. By the time it gets to the end, you think the song is over, and then you hear Trisha do that very nice sounding, that's for you, Max, and then it bashes in with the drummer again, and then you have this probably the most energetic outro of any Superchick song. It probably, I might be overthinking or overreacting here, but that's just how I feel. All right, now, so far with the remixes, do I feel they're superior to their originals? So far on this record, yes. Now we get into the new song. Track number 3, Me Against the World. This is a clearly feminist song. It's all about girl power. Even the words in the chorus, if nobody understands, I'm going to make a one girl stand. That pretty much sums up the message of the song. It's really full-fledged girl empowerment. And it's a guilty pleasure of mine. I love the song. It's, like I said before, it's not bashing on men. That's never been what Superchick is about. They were purely, strictly about girl empowerment, or just teenager empowerment in general for positivity reasons. And they do it so well in this song. The song is full of energy, matches the rest of the album beautifully, from a production sound hybrid wise. And yeah, I wouldn't say anything too crazy of amazing for Superchick, but at the same time, it blends in with the album very, very well. Number 4, Barlow Girls Space Monkey Lab Mix. This you have to be in the mood for. Do I think it ages well? No. Do I think it's a little overproduced? Yes. The Barlow Girls original is superior. This is a dedication to the group called Barlow Girl, which you should check out. It's an all-girl band, by the way. They're retired now, but they were one of the best back in the day. 3 sisters, by the way, play drums, keys, vocals, bass, the whole shenanigan. So basically, they were inspired by Barlow Girls' purity to wait until marriage before sex, and they wrote a song about them, Superchick. So Barlow Girls is a tribute to that. That we can all be like Barlow Girls, being pure until marriage. And they don't do it in a really cheesy way. They do it in a really cool, clever way. They do a feature with my favorite rappers of all time here, KJ52. But when I say the overproduction kind of kills this, it does, because you can barely hear his vocals. The music is so loud, you have to really tune in to hear what he's saying. And then Trisha's vocals are so weirdly tuned that it makes more for a fun kids song than the original, even though that had both of them have a kids vibe. But this version is just killed by the overproduction. But it's still not a bad listen. Still worth a listen. You may get some enjoyment out of it, maybe not, but it's definitely not one of the strongest tracks on this album. Number 5, Stand Up Mob Action Mix. This is when the Eminem wannabe, Matt Daly, the bass guitarist of the band, which he has some very soulful, poppy singing skills as well. You should check his singing skills out on certain of the Superchick albums as well. Examples like Let It Roll or We Live that are featured on other records. But this is back in the early days of Superchick when he tried his hand at rap. And he does a decent job. I'm not going to lie. He does a really decent job. This is a much more darker version than the original So Bright stand up. Uh, Very dark sounds, but it's so great for like a midnight rock feel. Um, and it has a nice bounce to it. It's an interesting middle of the line track. I think really well placed on the album because it's a middle ground sound, like dead in the middle of the album. So I think it's really finely placed. Do I think it's the most amazing track in the world? No, but at the same time, I think it's really well placed on the album. Number 6, I Belong to You, Midnight Mix, I believe. I'm trying to do this all from memory, by the way, so correct me or forgive me for any of my mistakes. Um, this was a nice attempt at a worship song that they did on Last One Picked. I think they got the worship sound a lot better in this version, and Trisha's vocals do sound better in this version as well. Not really that memorable though. It's a very forgettable song, but a sweet worship tinge. Can't complain too hard. But yeah, definitely very very forgettable. Not to diss the song too hard, but yeah, it is a forgettable song. I try to be real here, even if I sound harsh. Number 7, Princes and Frogs Underdog Mix, where the guys take over. And boy, oh boy, this song, if Barlow Girls didn't convince you that being pure was cheesy, this, in my opinion, even though it may still come across as cheesy, is way more better executed when it comes to a song about purity, and it's showing it from the opposite side. Because now the guys are trying to be pure, and not just the girls. Um, Princes and Frogs has some really clever lines that like poke shots at like the Disney princess type of fatuation. And probably my favorite line in the song is where they say, um, "What if your prince comes riding in while you're kissing a frog? What's he gonna think then? So look into his eyes. Are you a princess or a fly?" I think that pretty much sums up the song. You should go check it out for yourself. Make what you will of it, but it's a really really fun song. Great sort of pop punk vibe. Number 8, One and Lonely Beat Mart Mix. Probably my lowest moment of this album. I have huge respect for Todd Collins. Todd Collins is one of my favorite producers of all time. You need to go check out, especially his work with KJ52. But all around, even the Katinas, Toby Mac, tons of artists he's worked with. He was one of the founding members of Goatee Records back in the day with Toby Mac, and in my opinion, as much of a superstar he was back in the Christian industry back then, he does not get the cred he deserves. Like, he is a legend in my book. One and Lonely Beat Mart Mix, it doesn't work. It's not a good blend. I think this was just, they picked a good producer for the wrong song. And One and Lonely works way better as a soulful crossover pop rock sound. It does not work with raunchy industrial like guitars. I'll let you listen to the track in your own time to see what I mean. Now, to close off the album on a very high note, one of Superchick's most popular records of all time, Hero Red Pill Mix. This version trumps the original, no pun intended, by leaps and bounds. They already had such a great concept with not being so selfish that you don't see the problems of those around you, or even in an age of so-called mental illness or suicidal thoughts, that your impact could have changed the trajectory of that person's life. And this storytelling in this song is so perfectly executed. It was so yeah.